I will start. Okay, my name is Stephen Detro, and my informative speech is on breast cancer. And before I start, I would like to acknowledge that Carrie Sterling is here in my audience, and she is a 15-year from her breast cancer diagnosis, and she is a 10-year survivor since her surgery. First, I'd like to tell you the story of a woman who had breast cancer surgery, which is also known as a mastectomy. What makes this cancer story different is her doctor used a large fork with two 6-inch prongs, a straight razor, an oven filled with red-hot coals that heated a flat iron spatula in which to cauterize the wound, and he was unaware of sterile technique or bacteria. As James Olson states in his essay on her, this woman had the most knowledgeable surgeon of her era perform this horrible procedure. Who was she? She was the daughter and later the sister of the President of the United States. Her name was Abigail Navy Adams, and she endured this surgery almost 200 years ago. Her father was President John Adams, and her brother was President John Quincy Adams. The purpose of this story is to inform you that breast cancer has been a tragic occurrence for women, and sometimes, though rarely, even men, for thousands of years. Breast cancer is perhaps the oldest documented cancer. The ancient Egyptians, over 3,500 years ago, documented breast cancer and wrote that it was incurable and could only be treated by fire. Now, I will add another part to this story. Breast cancer affects us all, whether we are young, female, male, white, Hispanic, or African American. We all have mothers and female relatives. We are all bound to the fact that in America, 1 in every 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. In Abigail Adams' day, breast cancer was often not diagnosed until the disease had manifested on the surface of the breast. She did not have the advantage, as we do today, of screening techniques to detect and treat the disease. In her day, being the daughter of a president, she had the best care known to society at that time. She was a woman of wealth and privilege, but cancer ignores those facts. She had children and a husband, and she surely knew that with the diagnosis of her disease, her time was limited. Cancer will leave her children motherless. But 2 centuries later, even with the advantage of modern medicine, treatment, and early diagnosis, the prognosis remains uncertain. Like Mrs. Adams' surgeon, modern surgeons today often believe that they have removed all the cancer cells. The cancer can reoccur or has already spread by the time diagnosis is made. Mrs. Adams' surgeon thought she was cured, and she returned home to recover from surgery. She later had terrible headaches that the doctors called rheumatism. However, her cancer had spread. She lived less than 2 years after her surgery. The cancer had spread throughout her body and reduced her physical condition to that of an appearance of an old, frail woman. I have shared with you the story of Abigail Adams to encourage all women to inform themselves of the methods in which they might help prevent a similar outcome. All women should consult with her doctor about her breast health and related cancer risk. Early diagnosis remains the most critical element of protecting oneself against the ravages of this disease and the emotional loss it brings. Several years ago, my mother had her routine mammogram, and the radiologist was concerned about the results, and he performed a needle biopsy on her. Having worked in the medical field and being a son of a nurse, I was very aware that the implications of a cancer diagnosis could bring. I thought to myself, is this how I lose my mother? She was in her early 50s at the time and was in good health. I was worried for about a week as the biopsy's results came back. Thankfully, she didn't have cancer, because that is not the case with so many women. The American Cancer Society states that in 2010, an estimated 207,000 women were diagnosed with invasive breast cancer. Another 40,000 will die. Miraculously, with modern treatment, there are now an estimated 2.5 million breast cancer survivors in the United States. Finally, breast cancer is a major concern, but there is hope to survive if one gets that frightful diagnosis. As women inform themselves, speak to your doctors, men should be supportive of their family and spouses. All men and women should be supportive and understanding about this disease. We all have mothers. Thank you. That's it.
Very
I get
good.
nervous when I talk.
You did great.